If you like this video, please consider supporting me on Patreon. For just $1 a month, your name can appear at the beginning of this and many other upcoming videos.
I never wanted you to be anything other than what you are. My friend, Yona, the yak.
They're just friends? Oh, thank God. You're safe. I hope. So, this was honestly a really weird idea for an episode. I mean, helping Yona getting ready for a dance with Sandbar at the school sounds like something out of a romantic comedy. And I guess that makes sense because the episode is based on a romantic comedy. But making it about Yona did make it very promising. With Yona being the most developed of the Student 6, it makes sense to make an episode about her. But there's just one problem. A really, really glaring problem. The story they go for is so predictable and so easy to figure out that it takes away from the excitement and tension. It all starts with Sandbar asking Yona to join him in the Fatlock Fete, a traditional pony dance party. She agrees, but thinks she needs to find a way to fit in to give him a good time, in which she goes to Rarity and some of the other main 7 for some assistance. They teach her how to be a good dancer, how to prepare a gift basket to be properly dressed and vocal, all that typical stuff. But of course, things end up going wrong, and obviously Yona has to be taught a lesson by Sandbar about how you just have to be yourself and blah blah blah. And that's the main problem with the episode. A person going through all these drastic lengths to change themselves to fit in, only to learn that all they had to do was just be themselves, has been done so many times in so many other stories. And even then, the concept has been done better somewhere else. The second half of the episode doesn't throw any kind of curve to do anything unique or refreshing with this idea. Everything that you could possibly expect to happen ends up happening, and it just feels so forced. There was no reason for Yona to keep running around and messing stuff up when all she had to do was just stop running and take the wig off. And why did she even need that wig or that dress in the first place? Nobody else got all fancy and dressed up for the dance, and that's what caused her to fall over and mess up. Why would Rarity even think that would look good? She's supposed to be a professional and practical in fashion, and that doesn't look like something to wear to a dance. She looks like a woman in her 40s going through a midlife crisis. Rarity has been around her friends long enough to know how to make a suitable outfit for special occasions. So why would she think that this was a good idea? Why didn't she give Yona a shorter dress for dancing and a more securely fitted wig? Maybe if you just cut those things out, everything would have been fine. A lot of the comedy just feels overdone too. So much of it revolves around Yona bringing her yak culture into the plot and the other characters just having awkward reactions to it. It's one joke that ends up getting dragged out throughout the episode, and it gets tired after a while. Another problem with the episode is that it's just not given the right setup that it needs. The episode is based on a movie that was an hour and a half long, and all of the elements are being condensed into 22 minutes. This isn't a bad thing if it's handled well, but the style that they're going for doesn't translate into the shorter runtime. For example, the part where the dance goes wrong ends up feeling really rushed. It goes by way too fast, and it happens in the same time that it took Yona to make her first impression. And it just feels like this idea has been done better in other episodes. Discord and Harmony did a better job teaching this lesson, and that was 1¼ seasons ago. Why didn't Fluttershy just step in and tell Yona to stop worrying about trying to fit in? She was very direct about it with Discord, so couldn't she have just done the same thing for her? Why couldn't she just help Yona to better appreciate her uniqueness? Why couldn't Rarity help Yona appreciate her uniqueness? She's literally all about uniqueness. Just something to make the setup less predictable. Alright, so was there anything good about the episode? Well, there was actually some nice stuff in the episode in spite of it being painfully predictable. Like I said earlier, the episode is entirely carried out by Yona, so its appeal depends on how people see her as a character. And I think it works out really well because of how she's the most developed of the Student 6. She's really adorable and curious about the world outside of Yak-Yakistan, but in a way that isn't annoying. In some ways, it does make sense that Yona would want to try and fit in better since past episodes establish how she felt out of place before meeting her circle of friends. And it's also a really good idea that trying to fit in is something that she wants instead of it being placed on her by the other characters. Throughout the episode, we see all of the hard work and dedication she puts into her lessons because she wants Sandbar to have a fun time. It would have been more forced and predictable and even disrespectful if the other characters were telling Yona to be something that she isn't. But because this is something Yona is doing for herself, it feels more personal to her. And it makes the teachers come across as somewhat helpful. They're not trying to make Yona into something she isn't, they're just helping her prepare for a dance party. It's the same way that Yona isn't trying too hard to be more pony-like as much as she just wants Sandbar to have a good time. A lot of the awkward moments are also carried out by Yona being adorable and naive, so it's fun to see her acting out this silly persona since she's putting all this dedication into it. So when everything does go south and we see how devastated she feels, it comes across as genuine because it was something she put so much work into. It's also nice that the episode had a way of working the other students in there without feeling forced. And I really like how expressive the animation is. There must have been some interesting storyboards for this one because they really got a lot of the details right. There's some good experimenting and angles done in this episode, and it all feels really smooth and properly conveys the emotion. I really like this shot of Sandbar nervously approaching Yona because the smoothness of it really captures how he's feeling about asking her out. The angle where they animate his face does a really nice job showing how nervous he is. And I really like how the episode handles his character. A lot of people have talked about how he's just the bland pony of the group, but he has shown some personality in past episodes like School Race. And here, he's such an adorable nerd trying to ask someone out to a dance. And the way he approaches her after the fallout is actually taken really slow. It better sets the mood after how rushed the previous scene was, and he really listens to Yona explain herself about adjusting for the dance. She wanted to learn more about non-pony tradition, so it was appropriate for her to want to do this for him. But he explains how he just wanted Yona to be a good friend like she always was, reminding her of who she is, how much it means to him, and why he asked her out in the first place. It's executed in a really nice way from what you'd expect, and as much as I hate to admit it, it was pretty cute. And I think that's the best way to describe the episode as a whole. Cute. It's very, very predictable, but when you get past that, there is some pretty good stuff in it. I do think the ending could have been handled better, where everyone just doesn't seem to care that the dance got wrecked and just goes on like nothing happened, but for what it's worth, it's not a bad episode. It certainly would have benefited from a refreshing take on the premise, but Yona is still a fun character who carries out the story fine, and it even has a fun song. She's All Yak is a pretty average episode, which I guess is better than what we could have gotten after last time. And with the next episode focusing on Grogar building his Legion of Doom, I'd say that Season 9 is still giving me something interesting to look forward to. This is Map signing out.